There's a crisis in France, and Canada is to blame. What's the problem? There's a shortage of Dijon mustard. 80% of the dark mustard seeds that are used to make Dijon mustard come from Canada. They're grown in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Well, why is Canada at fault? Well, not exactly Canada, but the Canadian climate. In 2021, the summer was extremely hot, and yields of the mustard seed were reduced. So there just wasn't enough to supply France with enough to make their Dijon mustard. Now, of course, the French palate would not accept French's mustard. And incidentally, French's mustard has nothing to do with France. French's mustard, named after Robert French, and he was the head of the American company that introduced mustard at the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. The classic yellow mustard is made from white or yellow mustard seeds. It's just a slightly different variety, less pungent than the ones that they use for Dijon. It's mixed with vinegar, it's mixed with salt and some spices and paprika and turmeric in order to give it a yellow color. But also listed on the label are natural flavors. It's a mystery. Can't find out what that is. A call to the company just gets the answer that it's proprietary. Anyway, I wouldn't worry about that. In 2003, French's company ran into a problem. This is when the US was contemplating invading Iraq, and France said that they would use their veto at the United Nations and would oppose sanctioning this invasion. This, of course, did not go down well in the US, and even on Air Force One, French toast was replaced by Freedom toast, and restaurants started to serve French, instead of French fries, Freedom fries. Anyway, it was kind of an interesting issue. French fries aren't even French. They go back to the 17th century and Belgium. In fact, Belgium is the only country in the world that has a French fry museum. And incidentally, there are some stories about mustard being introduced as a dressing for hot dogs in St. Louis at the 1904 World's Fair. Well, it isn't exactly like that. The story is quite different from the way that it is usually told. First of all, the mustard that was introduced at that time was not for hot dogs. It was introduced to make salad dressings. And the Frankfurter at that time was already well established. And, the story that there was a hot dog vendor or a Frankfurter vendor at the World's Fair, which is certainly true. Franks were well known at the time, and that he used to hand out white gloves to customers so that they could hold the steaming sausages. And they ran off with the white gloves, so he asked his brother-in-law, a baker, to come up with the bun. And this is when the hot dog in a bun was born. Well, that story is likely apocryphal because as early as 1871, there were buns on Coney Island used for Frankfurters, and they were the so-called Vienna rolls. And that was pretty appropriate that I was on Coney Island, because that's the place where the annual hot dog eating contest takes place today, at Nathan's, the hot dog emporium. And the current record holder is Joey Chestnut, who's held this record now for years. This year, he went down a little bit. He consumed only 63 hot dogs in 10 minutes. And he miraculously survived. And that for today is our Cup of Joe.